This is regarding fertility and HCG. So it was an interesting article he posted about how HCG monotherapy actually reduced fertility or sperm count in an otherwise healthy male. And there's a reason for this. First, you have to understand how spermatogenesis, or the production of sperm, actually occurs in your testicles. For starters, your testicles contain a type of a cell called a Sertoli cell, as well as a type called a Leydig cell. The Leydig cells, as we probably know, being around the testosterone arena for a bit, is in charge of producing testosterone. The Sertoli cell is in charge of producing sperm. Now, your pituitary releases specifically two types of gonadotropins that act on the testes, and they are known as LH and FSH. LH being the luteinizing hormone, FSH being the follicle-stimulating hormone. The LH encourages your Leydig cells, or acts on the Leydig cells, to produce more testosterone. The FSH acts on the Sertoli cells to produce more sperm. Now, in the testicular function of spermatogenesis, you do need testosterone and estrogen to be present right next door from the Leydig cells. This means endogenous testosterone production must occur in order for spermatogenesis to occur. This is intratesticular, not exogenous, not serum, but directly in the testicles. This is why HCG sort of kind of works, and this is also why it actually doesn't always work. So watch this. HCG is an LH mimicker. What does this mean? It does not trigger or secrete more LH. It does not agonize your pituitary gland. In fact, it suppresses it. It mimics LH in the male body. It is essentially a female-derived hormone, and it comes out of the urine of pregnant women. When a woman goes and urinates on a pregnancy test, the little strip sticks, what it's actually measuring is the amount of HCG in her morning urine to determine if she's pregnant. So pregnant women secrete a lot of HCG. When we apply this to men, we've learned that it mimics luteinizing hormone, or LH. By mimicking the LH, you're actually suppressing your pituitary gland's own release of LH, but you're also suppressing FSH. So when you introduce exogenous hormones, there's going to be suppression upstream, primarily in the brain and its glands. Downstream in the testicles, you are going to produce a little bit of endogenous testosterone, which will then aromatize in the tissues of the testicles and provide some endogenous intratesticular estradiol. And as Jordan mentioned, approximately, and I don't know where he got this figure from, but maybe you can elaborate, approximately 15% or so of aromatization actually occurs in the testicles. So this is sufficient for sperm production to occur. However, FSH is still being mildly suppressed by HCG, and therefore the signal for the Sertoli cells to produce sperm is going to be reduced. So how do we fix this? Simple. There is a product called FSH, which is a synthetic FSH mimicker, just like HCG mimics LH. And then there is a product called HMG, human menopausal gonadotropin. Now, HMG actually mimics both LH and FSH in men together. So this gives you both kind of the FSH and the HCG response in one medication. Problem with both of these medications, they are compounded and they're extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. They could run upwards of $500–600 a vial, and you need to run them for an extended period if you're trying to get pregnant. So while they are a lot less expensive than in vitro, for those that are able to conceive naturally, they are still fairly pricey. HCG does a fairly decent job at maintaining testicular function. If someone wanted to later on go ahead and add an FSH analog to their HCG and cypionate protocol, the nice thing about HCG is that it kind of maintains that faucet in a drip mode so that your testicular cells essentially do not die. But don't expect HCG on its own to keep your sperm count at 80 or 100 million. It's just not going to happen for the reason I stated before. Your FSH will be suppressed. So I hope that clears up a little bit about fertility and how HCG actually works for men. Have a good one.